Good morning, everyone. Students, hearty welcome to the language classes. So in the previous class, we discussed about what are the things that we need to keep in mind while answering or while attending the language paper. So today, we'll be just discussing a couple of poems, something that comes under the very concept, poetry analysis or poetry extract. Hopefully, in the very earlier classes, we are just done with a couple of poems where I thought that let us just continue with it. I can complete at least three classes where this could be an end of online classes today. So today I'll be moving on with a poem, Playthings Within Your Workbook, contributed by Rabindranath Tagore. It's one of the wonderful poems that's contributed by him. You all know it very well. Rabindranath Tagore is one of the celebrated poet who has been considered, who has been identified as Nobel Prize winner. So Rabindranath Tagore, a national poet, the one who has been identified where he was able to receive his Nobel Prize for the works, for the best contributions that's contributed by him, that is anthology of poems, which is called Gitanjali. So almost all the poems that he has contributed sounds, there'll be some sort of tinge of philosophical touch. He makes an attempt to speak about life. He makes an attempt to speak about romanticism connected with life. So one or the other way, almost all the poems, what he has contributed, there'll be an inclination towards philosophy. He makes an attempt to speak about the philosophy of life. So one such poetry is this, that's of Playthings, a wonderful philosophical poem contributed by Rabindranath Tagore. As the title of the poem itself signifies, Playthings has many views. It all depends on how we look up things, how we take up things. So the elders also has a plaything where it may be very different. The attitude, the perception of looking at a plaything might be different. The child, if it sits and plays, what could be its playthings? Everything sounds to be very, very negligent. What all things that seems to be very important for the elders. So it all depends on the perception. So in this very context of the poem, Rabindranath Tagore is beautifully contemplating on a very core theme, on a very, very core message of this poetry, where he says that the playthings which sounds very important for the elders may sound very, very useless for a child, which wakes up early in the morning and sits in the mud and it plays with a broken twig. Broken twig, the mud, everything seems to be so important for a child, whereas the lumps of the gold, what we usually gather, the accounts, what we follow. So, if the morning happens, each and everyone we start bugging with all the responsibilities that we have already been piled up. So, keeping all these aspects in mind, he beautifully makes an attempt to the poet Rabindranath Tagore beautifully contemplates on how the concept of playthings differs from one another, has been well narrated. This is point number one. And coming on to point number two, he also emphasizes about how as the days rolls on, as we start growing day by day, how the concept of innocence or how innocent feeling, innocent gesture just moves away from everyone has been well explained here within a wonderful poem, a very simple, bubbly poem that's written by Rabindranath Tagore, that is Playthings. So, this poetry seems to be like a wonderful conversation which is taking place between a father and a son. The child, which is a son, which is so young, it is always something which aspires to go and play in the mud, go and play in a broken twig that has been left out on the road. Whereas looking at the father, it may feel so sorry. You have lost the original bliss or joy what you have to enjoy. Look at me, how happy I am playing with all this mud and broken twig is a well, beautiful contemplation of a poetry that has been elevated, that has been taken up, giving a very tinge of comparison that has been taken up here. As I said, the poetry seems to be like a wonderful conversation between a child and a father. So, what could the child feel when he looks at a father who is so worried, wakes up early in the morning, worried about the accounts, worried about all materialistic gatherings? So, he looks and smiles at a father. See how uh, blissfully I'm playing with everything. You have been piled up with all the responsibility. You've been piled up with all the things, gathering all materialistic pleasures. Look at me. Why can't you be like a child and enjoy the bliss? Anodu. That's a wonderful elevated thought, philosophical thought that the poet Rabindranath Tagore makes an attempt to beautifully uh, well describe here within a poem. That's one of the best poems, Playthings by Rabindranath Tagore. So hopefully we have already been given up an introduction for this. In the poetry analysis, you all know it, poetry extract or poetry analysis. They'll just give you a paragraph or a stanza of the poem where you have to read the poem, understand the lines that they have given, and then answer the direct questions that has been given up there within your very context of the questions. So poetry analysis will be obviously occurring. That will be question number 25 in your question paper. Once you are done with your comprehension unseen passage, after that you will be having this concept, what we call poetry analysis. So I repeat, they'll give you a couple of lines or a stanza, and they'll obviously give questions on this. So this concept or this area carries 3 marks for your examination purpose. Direct questions will be asked. You have to read the context of the stanza of a poem given. They'll not mention which poetry. I have already said it in earlier classes. Poetry analysis is not something where they choose from your course book, whereas they'll obviously pick from your workbook part. Workbook part ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು 15 poem ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So within the 15 poems, they'll ask you the questions. You have to get prepared for that. Please, depending on that, you have to understand the lines or the stanza that's given and then make an attempt to answer the questions that has been set on it. So the first poem today, what I'll be discussing is, it is The Playthings, a wonderful poem by Rabindranath Tagore. Just have a look in your workbook, page number 47, you have this poem. Turn over to page number 47. Playthings by Rabindranath Tagore. Child, child, how happy you are sitting in the dust, playing with a broken twig all the morning. I smile at your play with that little bit of broken twig. I'm busy with my accounts, adding up figures by hour. Perhaps you glance at me and think, what a stupid game to spoil your morning with. Child, I have forgotten the art of being absorbed in sticks and mud pipes. I seek out costly playthings and gather lumps of gold and silver. With whatever you find, you create your glad games. I spend both my time and my strength over things I can never obtain. In my frail canoe, I struggle to cross the sea of desire and forget that I too am playing a game. A wonderful poem that's contributed by Rabindranath Tagore. It's a wonderful poetry that makes an attempt to contemplate or introspect oneself. So as we start growing day by day, how exactly the mindset of human beings goes with, how we become so curious enough to gather all materialistic wealth by living all the real pleasure, real bliss by the things what we would have gained in our very, very childhood memories. So it's a wonderful comparative study that the poet is making an attempt to say, where the child may fade. What could the child feel looking at the parent who is always busy in accounts? And in the same way, vice versa, what could the parent could feel looking at the child which is playing with all the broken twig and the mud? It's a wonderful comparison. He says, the child, how happy you are sitting in the dust. Here in this very context, the father is making an attempt to go back to his very past memories. He's going back to his childhood memories and feels so sorry. Oh, child, how happy you are sitting in the dust. You are feeling so happy even you have been seated in the dust. Playing with a broken twig all the morning. ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಎದ್ದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಮುರಿದಿರೋ ಕಡ್ಡಿಗಳನ್ನ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡ್ತಾ you are taking pleasure. Why can't I take the same bliss? Why can't I take the same happiness? Ah, I miss my childhood days ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಯಾರು? The parent or the speaker. Child, how happy you are sitting in the dust, playing with a broken twig all the morning. I smile at your play with that little bit of broken twig. Whenever I look at you, when I see you, when you are playing with a broken twig, I smile at your play. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಮುಂಡೆದೆ ಮುರಿದೋಗಿರೋ ಕಡ್ಡಿನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆಟಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಖುಷಿ ಪಡ್ತಿದ್ಯಲ್ಲ, ಮುಂದೆ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಿದೆ. You're just feeling so happy, you're taking pleasure playing with that broken twig. I smile at you, but not sarcastically. I smile at your play with that little bit of broken twig. But comparing himself, he says in the very next line, he says, I'm busy with my accounts, adding up figures by the hour. While I could compare myself, I've been so busy. I'm so busy with my all accounts. ಇವತ್ತು ಎಷ್ಟು ಖರ್ಚಾಯ್ತು, ಹಾಲ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಖರ್ಚಾಯ್ತು, ಊಟಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಖರ್ಚಾಯ್ತು, ತಿಂಡಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಖರ್ಚಾಯ್ತು, electric. See, we have been so loaded with lots of responsibilities. I'm always busy with my accounts, adding up the figures by hour. ದುಡ್ಡು ಎಷ್ಟೆಷ್ಟು ಖರ್ಚಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬರೆಯೋದರಲ್ಲಿ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಡೇಸ್. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ಮೈ ಡೇಸ್ until now. You're so happy with the things whatever that you have. See, he's making a wonderful comparison over here and says how beautiful your life seems to be. It's so good enough, you're enjoying a lot. In the next line he again continues and says, I'm busy with my accounts adding up figures by the hour. Perhaps, perhaps you glance at me and think, wise hours are at the same moment. However, I feel I give a smile looking at the things that you are carrying, being in a mud, playing with a broken twig, how I smile at you. It's in the same way you glance at me, Indreno. You just look at me and my condition and you may think, aha, what a stupid game to spoil your morning with. ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ the accounts ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು you're spoiling your day. Look at me. How I'm enjoying each and every moment, even though I'm playing with a broken twig and dust. I'm so happy. You may glance at me and think. So, what could the child feel? What could the child assume has been well assumed or obviously presumed by the narrator. Perhaps you, antane, here you refers to the child. Perhaps you glance at me and think, what a stupid game to spoil your morning with. He again replies. See, as I already said, it's in the form of a communication. It's in the form of a dialogue exchange. He again says, child, I have forgotten the art of being absorbed in sticks and mud pipes. As I started growing day by day, I have lost my genuinity. I have lost the way how I was enjoying in my childhood days. I have moved far away where I cannot enjoy like you. Child, I have forgotten the art. Antane, what art has been forgotten by the narrator? The art of being absorbed. I cannot get absorbed in my life. I cannot enjoy the way how you enjoy. I have forgotten the art of being absorbed in sticks and mud pipes. I cannot take pleasure the same way how you're enjoying, because my mind has been already spoiled, because my mind has been looked into lots of things, and I have been running behind materialistic wealth. I seek out costly playthings. What you are enjoying is a different perception that what I am seeking out. The playthings have become so costlier for me. I seek out costly playthings and gather lumps of gold and silver. I am running behind the playthings which are so costlier. Which is the costly plaything that he is referring to? I'm running behind the costly playthings of gathering lumps of gold and silver. When I'm running behind collecting gold and silver, how could I take pleasure looking at the broken twig or of the mud pipes? How can the mud give me pleasure out of it? Because my perception has been changed. I have been so materialistic. I have lost the genuinity. I've lost the genuinity of being so innocent. Everything has been so artificial. It has been polished. He says, I seek out costly playthings and gather lumps of gold and silver. With whatever you find, you create your glad games. How wonderful your life is. As you are still genuine with your innocent mindset, you take pleasure with all the things. You consider everything to be so glad. You consider all the games, whatever that you're playing, to be of glad games. With whatever you find, it's all the same, whether it is a lump of gold or a silver, whether it is a broken twig, everything seems to be the same for you. How beautiful your life is. With whatever you find, you create your glad dreams. ಕೈಗೇನ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರು ಅದೇ ಒಂದು ಆಟದ ಸಾಮಾನು. But it's not the same for me, because my mind has been so polished, it has been artificialized, where I cannot take pleasure with a broken twig or of a mud, where my mindset has been changed. With whatever you find, you create your glad games. I spend both my time and my strength over things I can never obtain. I spend both my time and strength. I've started losing everything. I've lost many of my time as well as strength over the things which I cannot obtain. ನನ್ನ ಕೈಲಿ ಏನ್ ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, I keep running behind it. But you are not the same. You take pleasure with what all the things that you give. ಏನೇನ್ ಕೊಟ್ರು, ಕೈಗೆ ಏನ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಅದೊಂದು plaything ಆಗತ್ತೆ. You know how beautifully to create it as a glad game, but I don't know that. I spend both my time and my strength over the things I can never obtain. In my frail canoe, I struggle to cross the sea of desire and forget that I too am playing the game. How beautiful conclusion the narrator makes an attempt, the poet makes an attempt to give here. He says that in my frail canoe is a boat. I'm just moving in a I'm just traveling in a very big sea. Samsara sagara, samudrad hagidiyante jivana. In that, I'm just traveling in a very small canoe. Canoe is a small boat. Frail canoe, which has already become weak. So I'm just traveling in a weak boat. I struggle to cross the sea of desire. That's a wonderful thing she makes an attempt to beautifully take up. He's making an attempt to say that I'm traveling in a very weakened, I'm just traveling in a very weak boat and I'm desiring to cross the sea of desire. Ase annodu samudrad hagante. We are making an attempt to cross the sea of desire. Yaudrali in a very frail canoe and forget that I too am playing a game. The life what we are leading, that itself is a wonderful game that has been played by God. God is making all of us to be the puppets and he's just playing out of it. But without understanding that, I am making an attempt to cross the sea. Which sea he is referring to? The sea of desire has been crossed by us within a very frail canoe. ಎಂತ ಮುಟ್ಟಾಳ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀನಿ. I'm just moving on in a very weakened boat and I'm planning to cross the sea of desire. So we keep running behind all materialistic wealth, something that does not give pleasure. ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಏನ್ ಖುಷಿಯನ್ನ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ದಲೆ we are just living everything and we pile up lots of responsibilities and leave the genuine pleasure. But the child is not the same ಅನ್ನೋದು. That's a wonderful comparison that the poet is making an attempt to emphasize here within a wonderful poem. That's the best poems. Playthings by Rabindranath Tagore. As I've already informed, they'll give you one stanza out of any of these poems. As I said, this is page number 47 in your workbook, right? So they'll give any of one stanza and they'll give you the questions, direct 3 questions. You have to read the poem, understand the context, what they have given, and then make an attempt to answer the questions. The answer should be, it's in the same form of first main objective type questions, because each and every question carries 1 mark. As it carries just a single mark, so see to it that you're not elongating your answers. It should be in the form of a word, a phrase, or just a sentence each, because it carries only 1 mark. That's it. Done. So based on this poetry, we'll have a look into questions and answer, couple of questions and answers. Please, you can just take it down or else you can just listen to it. What is the child playing with all the morning? What's the child playing with all the morning? The answer is a broken twig. The child is playing with a broken twig. So in the second line, we have an answer in the poem. I smile at your play with a little bit of broken twig. So the child is playing with a broken twig. Question number 2. Where was the child sitting? Where exactly was the child sitting in the morning? It was sitting in the dust. In the first line, you have an answer. Happy you are sitting in the dust. Where's the child sitting? It is sitting in the dust. Question number 3. What is the speaker busy with? What's the speaker busy with instead of a child? He's busy with his accounts. You have an answer in line number 3. I'm busy with my accounts, whereas you are playing it with a broken twig. So the narrator, the speaker is busy with the accounts. Question number 4. Which art has the speaker forgotten? Which is the genuine art that the speaker has forgotten? being absorbed in the sticks and mud pipes. So this is how you have to answer. Being absorbed in the sticks and mud pipes is an art that the speaker has forgotten. Question number 5. What does the speaker seek out? What exactly the speaker seek out? The speaker seek out the costly playthings. He seek out for the costly playthings. What are the costly playthings that he usually seeks out? Gathering lumps of gold and silver. So golden lumps of gold and silver are the playthings of the speaker. What does the speaker want to gather? Lumps of gold and silver. Question number 7. What does the child create its glad games with? What exactly that the child creates glad games with? With whatever he finds. Kai games sikkudru kuda, that becomes a wonderful plaything for a child. So that's how the mindset of a child has been turned up. So question number 7. What does the child create its glad games with? With whatever it finds. Done. Okay, fine. The next question. What is a speaker spending over things he can never obtain? What's he losing out of it? What is the speaker spending over things he can never obtain? What he cannot obtain in his lifetime? His time and strength. I repeat, his time and strength. Last one question. What is the speaker struggle to cross with his frail canoe? What is the speaker struggle to cross with his frail canoe? He's making an attempt to cross the sea of desire. So the narrator, the speaker is planning to cross with a frail canoe the sea of desire. ಆಸೆಗಳು ಅನ್ನೋ ಸಮುದ್ರನ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ he is making an attempt to try with a frail canoe. Frail canoe is a weakened boat. Fine, they'll ask you something, questions like this. Please read out the context or a stanza, whatever they have given, and later you can just answer the questions set on it. So hereby, that's an end of poem number 3, Playthings by Rabindranath Tagore. Moving on to the very next wonderful, simple, bubbly poem. A poem is The Crutches. Turn over page number 56 in your workbook part. A wonderful, simple, bubbly poem contributed by Bertolt Brecht. Page number 56 in your workbook part. Okay. The Crutches, a wonderful poem. You all might be familiar with crutches. What do you mean by crutches? Crutches is always a supportive system which we usually carry. You can also consider the very walking stick, which could be taken as a supportive system. Once we turn up with age old, or once we lose our legs, if we become lame many a times, without having any support, we cannot make a move. We cannot walk away, right? So at that moment, we carry a stick, a walking stick or a cane stick or a supportive stick, which could be understood as crutches. Crutches is usually something that where we keep as a support under our shoulders and we make an attempt to walk with the support of it, right? That is exactly carried by the lame people. Lame is the one who does not have leg, who have lost his leg. Walk is a lame. Kuntaran it very well. Even though we are suffering a lot, the laughters of the doctor makes us cure. Doctor hatra ಹೋಗಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜೋರ ಇದ್ರು ಕೂಡ many a times ಏನ್ರಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ರ ಅಂತ ನಗ್ತಾ ಮಾತಾಡಿಸ್ತಾ if you could just give an injection and treat us well, the smile of a doctor itself cures half a way. So how important the doctor to communicate with a patient is very, very important. So keeping that in mind, here, the poet Bertolt Brecht, a very celebrated poet of 20th century, he just makes an attempt to wonderfully emphasize on how best, how important the way the doctor communicates with a patient becomes important. Anodana, he wonderfully describes within a poem. Look at the title of the poem. The title of the poem itself is The Crutches. Please have a look. The Crutches by Bertolt Brecht. 7 years I could not walk a step. When I to the great physician came, he demanded, why crutches? Then I told him, I'm a lame. He replied, That's not surprising. Be so good and try once more. If you're lame, it's these contraptions. Fall then, crawl across the floor. And he took my lovely crutches, laughing with French grimace, broken them with broken them both across my back and threw them in the fireplace. When I'm cured now, when I am cured now, I can walk, cured by nothing more than the laughter. Sometimes, though, when I see the sticks, I walk worse for some hours after. There's a wonderful proverb or usage in Kannada. Kudre kandre kal novu anta. So many a times, how our dependency has been made on all the gadgets, it's always making us to fall on dependency on that. If we does not have any asset supportive systems, we can obviously get back with a strength and potential, whatever we genuinely have, and we can go ahead, Anadu. That's a wonderful thought that Bertolt Brecht, the poet, is making an attempt to emphasize here. It seems to be like again a conversation between the poem, the narrator, the speaker, as well as the doctor. How could the doctor make us so strong? If the doctor has genuinely wish, he has a wish to improve us, to obviously help us to recover with all our lacunas, he can obviously make it. It's only the dependency what we have created, Anadu. That's a wonderful thought that the poet reflects here within a poem, a very simple poem that is the crutches. The Crutches by Bertolt Brecht. As I said, it seems to be like a wonderful conversation between obviously the poet or the speaker as well as the doctor. 7 years I could not walk a step. Who could not walk a step for long 7 years? None other than the speaker himself, he's emphasizing on. 7 years I could not walk a step when I to the great physician came. So after 7 years, as he was unable to make a walk, he just once fine day he went to a great physician. He was able to get to know about one of the great physicians who had come. So thinking that, he thought that why can't I go visit a physician and come back? And he just went to meet the physician. 7 years I could not walk a step. When I go to the physician, great physician came. When I got to know that one of the great physicians has come to his place, the speaker went to visit the doctor. The doctor demanded. The doctor looking at the patient, the speaker, he asked, why are you using these crutches? ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿದೆ, ಯಾಕೆ crutches use ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? Who asked? The doctor asked. And I told him, I refers to the speaker. And I replied him, why you are using crutches, Andre? Because I am lame. As I cannot walk, I am using the support of this crutches. I cannot walk without the crutches. I gave a reply. He replied. Then what did the doctor say? Then the doctor replied, aha, that's not surprising. ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಏನಿದೆ? ನಿನ್ಗಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ಯಾ? So you're carrying a crutches. That's not surprising. Oh, my dear patient, be so good and try once more. He just replied stating, why can't you be so good and leave the crutches and try? See, this is a way how a doctor can add a potential within us. Many a times we feel that we have been so weak, we cannot do anything. The doctor fetches the confidence. He says, what did the doctor, the great physician, said? Be so good and try once more. Why can't you? Don't you have that potential? Leave the crutches away and be good. Be good enough and try once more to walk without the crutches. Ondsala ಬೀಳ್ತೀಯ, ಎರಡ್ ಸತಿ ಬೀಳ್ತೀಯ, and later you can walk without the crutches. Be good. Try once again. The doctor boosted the speaker. He replied, that's not surprising. Be so good and try once more. Why can't you try once more and walk without that crutches? He further continued and said, if you're lame, it's these contraptions. Contraptions is using the gadgets. You have made your mind thinking that you cannot walk. You have made your mind that without the dependence on this gadget, you cannot make a walk. Leave away everything. You can do it. The doctor started adding up, boosting or he started boosting none other than the speaker. If you are lame, it is these contributions. ನೀನೇನಾದ್ರು ಇವತ್ತಿಗೂ ಕುಂಟ ಆಗಿದ್ಯಾ from long 7 years ಅಂದ್ರೆ it is because of the dependency what you have coped with. If you are lame, it's these contributions. Fall then, crawl across the floor. ಒಂದ್ ಸತಿ ಬೀಳ್ತೀಯಾ, ಎರಡ್ ಸತಿ ಬೀಳ್ತೀಯಾ, ನಾಲ್ಕ್ ಸತ ಕ್ರಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯಾ. Crawling is ತೆವಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀಯಾ. But once you stop avoiding this dependency on the crutches, you can stand upon your own. You can walk on your own without depending on the crutches, because you are not a lame. You can get back your legs. You can get back with the potential what you had. The doctor, with all the smile on his face, he started boosting the patient. If you're lame, it's these contributions. Fall then, crawl across the floor. Why can't you? You'll just fall a couple of minutes and then you'll crawl. And then he took on my lovely crutches. I was loving my crutches so much because I had the dependency on my crutches. He took my lovely crutches, laughing with a very, very faint grimace. What do you mean by grimace? Express of feeling so contempt. Aha, I'm so sorry. Anta nidanake. With all a lovely gesture, he took up, he snatched away the crutches which I was holding at my hand. Laughing with a friend's grimace. Friend's grimace andre no, expressing all the very contempt. By expressing the contempt, you are so good. You'll just fall down for a couple of times. Then you will learn to walk. You have been dependent at the nakta matadasta. He took away, he snatched away the crutches, lovely crutches which I was using. And who took? The doctor took my lovely crutches, laughing with a faint grimace. Broke them across my back. Avun benna supportive ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಎರಡು ಪೀಸ್ ಮುರಿದಾಕದ. Threw them into the fireplace. At last, he broke his crutches into a couple of pieces and then threw into the very, very fireplace. Well, it was only the dependency what I had. Well, once the doctor could throw away my crutches into the fireplace, I was fine now. I'm cured now. Well, I'm cured now. I thought I can walk, cured by nothing more than the laughter of a doctor. Sometimes, though, when I see sticks, I walk worse for some hours after. Even today, even though I can walk without the crutches, the doctor's smile made me so confident. The doctor's smile made me so potentialized, where I thought I could walk without the crutches. But even today, that's the dependency what I had. Even today, whenever I look at the crutches, I feel like I can walk. I need the crutches to walk around. That's how we people make ourselves to depend on certain gadgets. The contraptions will always make us to depend on the things. So it is beyond everything. It's the smile of a doctor which helps us to cure. And beyond everything, the way he boosts our potential makes us to be so strong to face the ups and downs of life. And Udu, that's a wonderful gist of the poem, that is The Crutches by Bertolt Brecht. Can you please have a look into the questions? They may ask you the question something like this. Question number 1. How many years the speaker could not walk? For how many years the speaker could not walk? Long 7 years. So here is an answer in the first line. 7 years he could not walk is an answer. Question 2. Whom did the speaker visit? The speaker visited the great physician. The answer is the great physician. It's a very important poem you may expect for your examinations too. Whom did the speaker visit? The great physician. Question number 3. What did the doctor demand from a patient? The doctor demanded the crutches what he was using. So what did the doctor demand? The answer is the crutches. That's it. The answer is the crutches. What was a reply given by the speaker to the doctor? That he was lame. L-A-M-E. Lame is nothing but the one who could not walk. He explained that he was lame. The next question is, what did the physician ask the speaker to do? What did the physician ask the speaker to do? What did he ask? Be so good and try once more. Why can't you leave the crutches? Be good and try once more to walk without dependency on crutches, is what he said. The answer is, be so good and try once more. You have that answer in second stanza, second line. Next question. Why he has become lame? Answer is dependency on contraptions. Dependency on contraptions. The next question. What did the doctor take from the speaker? What did he take from the speaker? The answer is lovely crutches. What did the doctor take from the speaker? What did he take from the speaker? The lovely crutches. He took lovely crutches. Next question. What did the doctor do with the crutches? What did he do with the crutches? He took the crutches and broke into a couple of pieces. I repeat, he took the crutches and broke into 2 pieces. Where did the doctor throw the crutches at last? Murdadmel yellesda. He thrown it into the fireplace. The answer is the fireplace. Last one question. How was the speaker cured? How was the speaker cured? The answer is nothing more than the laughter of a doctor. He was cured by the laughter of a doctor. He was cured by the laughter of a doctor. So fine, that's an end of a wonderful poem, The Crutches. Okay, fine. We'll move on with again the next poem, a wonderful poem. Turn over page number 55. A very simple but a beautiful, one of the best poems contributed by Robert Frost. Many of you students might have looked into this poem when you were in class 10, if you are CBSE or ICSE. A wonderful poem, the one of the best poems contributed by Robert Frost. Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. The road not taken, in this very context of the poem, the speaker selects the road that appears at the first glance to be less worse, to be less worn and therefore less traveled. The selection suggests that he has a very independent spirit and does not wish to follow the very crowd. So after a moment, he just concludes saying that the both roads are about equally worn. Here, the poetry makes an attempt to speak about or emphasize about decision making. So many a times, the decisions what we make in our journey leads us either to grow or else many a times it makes us to fall, even though we have been cooked with lots of potential. The moment of decision making, if I want to take reference for this, if you just go back to lesson number 2, what it has been prescribed in your class 12 course book, Two Deer is a wonderful humorous short story by Leo Tolstoy that again emphasizes and speaks about the decision making. If we fail in taking decisions of our life properly, many a times, once the time is done, we start repenting for the things that had happened. So keeping that in our mind, taking lot many symbolisms here, taking reference of a road, a diverted or a split road, he beautifully emphasizes how we make decisions make our life. ಯಾವ ತರದ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಡೀ ಜೀವನ ನಿಂತಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು. That's a wonderful thought. Here the poet makes an attempt to reflect here within a context of the poem, The Road Not Taken. As we all know, life itself is a journey. We keep on meeting with lots of ups and downs. We keep on meeting with lots of split roads. ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಸಲ important decisions ಮಾಡುವಾಗ which road do I need to choose? Whether I need to go with a road which has been over traveled by the people, where many crowd has been moved on, ಆ road ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ರು ಬಿದ್ದ ಹಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿ ಬೀಳೋದು, that's one road. And the other road is the road which has been less traveled, ಯಾರೂ ಓಡಾಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಇರೋ ವೆರಿ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಷನಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಕೆಲವರೇ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಪಾತ್ ಅನ್ನ ಹುಡುಕಿದಾಗ how could be our life? What all the achievements, many a times what we make, it decides, it purely depends on the decisions what we make. So what kind of decision is supposed to, we are supposed to go? Whether we have to follow the mob that has been traveled in a road, or else we have to make a decision of going on a road which has been very less traveled. So at this situation, the dilemma, what usually each and every human being meets with, has been well philosophically contemplated here within a wonderful context of the poem, The Road Not Taken, a poem by Robert Frost. Please have a look into it. It's about a wonderful decision making. The Road Not Taken, a poem by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be the one traveler, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowths. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better climb, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in the leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for the another day, yet knowing how many leads on to the way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. A wonderful poem, very, very heart touching poem by Robert Frost. So, this is his life experience. We all know it very well. In the very earlier days, Robert Frost was about to become a scientist. He had an inclination towards science. He was working lots towards research mode. He just, at all of a sudden, at one moment, he got confused. So his passion was to become a poet, and his life and profession was to become a scientist. So when at this very situation, the poet was able to stand in a, he was moving in a roads which was diverged andre no. He all of a sudden he was traveling in his life's journey, and he met with a split road. Diverged ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಒಂದು ಈ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಎಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. He stood in a very diverged split road, and he got confused. What am I supposed to be? If I go in this road, andre the road which was traveled by many people or of a crowd, if I go in this road, I can be that scientist, but I'm not sure I can be a successful scientist, even though I had an inclination towards it. But thinking on the other road which was very less traveled by the people, ತುಂಬಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಜನ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರೋಡ್ ಇತ್ತಂತೆ, that is fulfilling the passion. ಕೆಲವರೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ದಲೇ ಇದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಆ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್ಗೆ ಆ ಜಾಬಿಗೆ ಬಂದು we just move on with how people goes on. But very few people make an attempt to opt the road which has been less traveled. Road which has been less traveled ಅಂದ್ರೇನು, moving with a passion. ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಲ್ಲ, that is the way of moving on a passion. So each and every human being, many a times we meet with this split road. We just turn up with this diverged road. Whether I am supposed to go in the road which has been moved by a crowd, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾನು ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋರು ಒಂದ್ ತರ, just to fetch their tummy. And the other way around is fulfilling the passion of life. ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೇನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರು ಕೆಲವರು. That is the road where the poet is emphasizing on the less traveled road. So in the same dilemma, even the poet Robert Frost was struck. What am I supposed to choose? Do I need to become a scientist, or else I have to become a laureate, or else I could become a poet? ಯಾವ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ success could be mine? Even he was confused and thought. But in the conclusion, he says, even though I had a chance to go with a crowd, I did not decide to move on the road which was overcrowded. I decided to move on a path which was so difficult, which was so tedious, but I fulfilled my passion. Today, I have become a successful poet. If he would have chosen the road which was traveled by many people, he wouldn't be successful, considering himself as a one of the best scientist ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ನೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ. Adre, the decision what he took to move on a very less traveled road made him to be very successful poet of the century. So he says that the decisions what we make whenever we meet with dilemma makes our life another. That's a wonderful contribution that has been taken up here within a wonderful one of the best poems, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Let's go with an explanation. Two roads diverged in a yellowwood, and sorry, I could not travel both. So when he was moving in his journey, all of a sudden he met with two roads which was diverged. Which roads he was moving on? He was moving in the yellow woods ante. Yellow woods andre yellow forest. The forest which was loaded with lots of yellow flowers. The two roads diverged in a yellow wood. It was the name of the forest. And sorry, I could not travel both. ಒಂದೇ ಸಮಯಕ್ಕೆ ಎರಡು ರೋಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. So he was able to look at the split roads and he got confused which road I am supposed to move and be the one traveler. Long I stood. ಒಬ್ಬ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡಂತೆ ಈ ದಾರಿಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾ ಈ ದಾರಿಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾ, ಪ್ಯಾಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ತುಂಬಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾ, which road I am supposed to move. He got confused. Be the one traveler. Long I stood. ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಹಲವಾರು ದಿನ ನಿಂತುಬಿಟ್ಟ. He got stuck and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in undergrowth. ತಲೆ ತಗ್ಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. He got confused. He was so worried. He bowed his head and started looking at which road I'm supposed to, which road I'm supposed to move. Whether I need to go with my passion or just to complete my task and fulfill my tummy. He was missed. Then took the other as just fair. He at last bowed his head and decided, okay, fine. Many people have already walked and met their destination. Let me choose this path. ಜೀವನ ಕಷ್ಟ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದ್ರೆ ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ರೆ ಕೈ ಕೆಸರಾದ್ರೆ ಬಾಯಿ ಮೊಸರು. ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ರೆ I could make my life well. I can be one of the successful guy on the world. Okay, fine. At last he decided, let me travel in the road which is less traveled. Then I took the other as just as fair and having perhaps the better claim. ಕಷ್ಟ ಬಂದ್ರು ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, let me be an achiever ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡು the poet decided, the speaker decided to move on the road which was less traveled and took the other just as fair and having perhaps the better climb because it was grassy and wanted wear. It was a place which was almost messed up. There was no as such footpath. ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋ ಕಾಲ್ದಾರಿ ಕೂಡ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. It was messed by all greenery. The grass had turned up. Few people have just walked on it ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. And having perhaps the bitter claim because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. ಕೆಲವೇ ಜನ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದು ಫುಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಅದರಿಂದ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಸೀಮಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಲೈಕ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ವಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಮೀ ಟು ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು. ಅಂಡ್ ಬೋತ್ ದಟ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಈಕ್ವಲಿ ಲೇ, ಒಂದೇ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಎರಡ್ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕಂತೂ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. In leaves no step had trodden black. Okay, fine, I decided myself. I became so strong. I thought of moving on with that road less traveled. Oh, I kept the first for another day. ಇವತ್ತು ಅರ್ಧ ದಾರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ದಾರಿ ಸರಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬಂದು ನಾಳೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ದ. But he was not satisfied. Yet knowing how many leads on to the way. Yet knowing how many leads on to the way. How can I be very sure? Even though this road had been traveled by many people, it had been walked by many people, were they successful? I questioned myself. Yet knowing how many leads on the way, I doubted if I should ever come back. ನಾನು ಹೋದ ದಾರಿಯನ್ನ ವಾಪಸ್ಸೇ ಬರಕ್ಕಾಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ what could be my life? What is a decision that I need to make? He got messed up. In the last concluding stanza, he says, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Sigh ಅಂದ್ರೇನು? ಏದು ಉಸಿರು ಬಿಡೋದು. At last he decided, okay, fine, whatever might be the pros and cons, let me fix my decision. Let me fix my goal and go ahead. Whatever might be the ups and downs, let me face all the obstacles which may give me success in my life. The poet decided. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages ends. ಎರಡು ರೋಡ್ ನ ನೋಡಿ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ. The road which has been traveled by many, it is speaking about the history of many ages. Two roads diverged in a wood. And at last he decided, okay, fine, let me not go with a crowd. Let me travel in the road which was less traveled. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference in my life. So as I decided that I have to travel in the road which was less traveled by people, at last today I got success. I've been identified as one of the best poets in English literary world. So many a times at this situation, when we meet with diverged ideas, so at the time what we decide makes us to go ahead. Always follow your passion that gives you success, Anadu. That's a wonderful message that's given by a very, very celebrated, well-known poet, Robert Frost. So hereby we'll conclude the poem. So you can obviously answer the questions that has been set on it. You can well understand it. We are done with our time up. Thank you so very much. All the best for your examinations. Thank you. Have a nice time.